What are we doing? Hey, how's it going? Oh, yes, I remembered my glasses today. Happy Homebrew Weekly, guys. Got some papers here we want to go off of here. And I have to grab this over here because we're going to I think we're going to retire her. Look, I washed this hat. You have to wash them. I mean, come on. We've got some, yeah, it's getting old. So I can't see myself wearing it anymore. It's in pretty rough shape, but I'll keep it. I don't know, maybe somebody knows how to fix this kind of thing. Maybe I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I knew that was going to happen when I washed it. So I have a new one, thanks to tgtshirts.com. And we'll see how many years we can get out of this hat. Okay, what I decided to do today, and I know this isn't really very regular, and I'm sorry about that. I get these out as whenever I can. Okay, and I have a piss water. I'm waiting for my keg to get cold so I can carbonate it. In the meantime, I want to do this video and get this done, so I'm just drinking a store-bought. You know, it's better than nothing. Cheers. Yeah. Nothing to say about that one. Okay. As you know, I should actually check the audio. Yeah. Okay, we're good, I hope. Testing, yeah, good. Okay, good. I have to make sure. Sometimes it gets botched and I have to do the whole thing over again. Don't want that. As you know, we have a forum, 17brewcrew.com. And I do have a section on there of mine where I encourage people to ask questions. Unfortunately, due to certain circumstances in our lives, we don't always get around to things like we should. And that's what happened to me. So recently what I've done is I've gone in there and I've taken every single question, that wasn't answered, and I've got it written down here on some paper. So let's get to this, okay? Here we go. Answers to questions, 17 Brew Crew forum in the section, the Craig Tube section, and I'll do this the best I can. I didn't put the whole question in here. I just tried to get the core of the questions, to get this over with quickly, so it's not boring, okay? So here we go. Okay. Would you recommend adding any DME, that's dry malt extract, to or dextrose to 2.5 3-gallon batch, or just using the can itself? Okay, so what he was asking was if he was just to use let's say a Cooper's can, all right, or a pre-hopped can of malt extract, and just brew 2.5 to 3 gallons instead of 5 gallons, you know what I mean? Should you add any extra fermentables? I'd say no. It's probably perfectly fine to go ahead and just brew the can with, half or 2/3 of the amount of water that you would normally use. You're going to get more hop profile. You're going to get a stronger malt flavor. Whatever malts that are in that can of extract, if they're putting some chocolate malt or some caramel malt in there, and whatever hops they're going to put in, you're going to taste more of those because they're going to be less diluted, right? So, but sure, if you're going to brew 2.5 gallons or 3 gallons of beer, just use the can, and away you go. Perfect. And use the whole yeast sachet. Just put the whole thing in, you're fine. Okay? All right. It says, my current batch seems to slow down significantly within 48 hours. Is there something really wrong with my batch? Or is this a fantastically fast yeast? It's OSG 1057, fermenting temp 18C. Okay. This is the kind of thing that I always say, look, if the beer works, and if at the end you end up with beer and it tastes good and it's proper gravity, don't worry about what your yeast is doing. Leave your yeast alone. It's none of your business what that's doing in there. Let it do what it wants. And as long as at the end of the fermentation you can do a specific gravity reading and it's 1.00, 1.08 or whatever it's supposed to be, and it's all been fermented out, you're fine. Sometimes they go real quick at the beginning and other times they don't. Depends on the age of the yeast and a lot of things. Have I fermented in a keg? No. Although I'm sure some fermentation has gone on in a keg. But no, I haven't done that. If you were to do that, you could, but I don't know why you would. You could ferment in a keg and just, I don't know. You know what? It could be messy. That keg's filled up to about this much below the opening, and if there's some krausen, I don't know. I think it could be messy. I wouldn't do it. Okay? It says, I'm new to kegging, and I'm having a problem getting a proper flow when serving from both my kegs. They've been refilled twice, and now I've noticed a change when pouring to a glass in pressure drops below 2 psi after pouring 500 milliliters of a glass or so. So, forcing me to add additional CO2 to maintain pressure when serving. Dude, you have to keep the CO2 on the keg at all times to replace the volume of CO2. Every time you take beer out of that keg, you need CO2 to go back. So don't disconnect the CO2 and then serve until it goes flat and then put the CO2 back and then, no, leave the CO2 on 5, 6, 8, 10 pounds PSI, whatever works, and just leave it. And it will keep that beer at proper serving temperature or serving pressure and at proper pressure, carbonation. If you disconnect that, it's not going to work. Leave it on. Okay, is this normal? Okay. Hey, Greg, my idea for a second ever, this is long, I'll try to read this. Second ever 5-gallon batch is a partial extract smash. APA, IPA, 4 pounds Vienna base malt, 3.3 pounds Vienna LME, 3, okay, guess, Should I cut the Vienna? He's asking me if he should cut down on the Vienna grain and just replace it with pale malt or 2-row. I've heard people brew almost the entire beer with Vienna, so I don't think it would be a problem. I forget what the characteristics of it are. I think it has a little more flavor than just your 2-row. So if you're trying to do a smash, that's single malt, single hop, I don't see a problem with using whatever base malt you want. I hope that's the answer to the question, because I wonder if all Vienna overpowers the hops. Any hops adjustment? Thanks for answering. Okay, so try it. Try brewing a whole beer with Vienna grain, okay? I've never used it, so I don't know. The only way to know is to do it. And you know what? If you're a real beer lover, you will drink it anyway, even if it's not perfect. Okay? So give it a whirl and let us know what happens there. Okay. Have you ever brewed 2 IPA kits before, and if so, how did they turn out? Okay, what he's asking is 2 pre-hopped cans of IPA, instead of adding any dextrose or DME or anything else, just 2 cans. That's it. Well, remember, you're going to get double the hops, double the grain bill. You're going to get about the same amount of fermentability as if you were adding other things to a single can, but you're going to get a double IPA. So if you're brewing a Cooper's IPA, you're going to get a double Cooper's IPA. And you could still add some DME and stuff like that to it to make it, strong, so that it's a real double IPA. It's 7 or 8%. It's got this big hop presence and big malt presence, and it's strong. But just the 2 cans themselves, sure, go for it. Let us know how it turns out. As I said, if you're a real beer lover, you will not tip it down the drain. You'll drink it anyway. Okay, unless it's terrible, but it won't be. Right? Hey, Craig, I use a lot of USO5, and what I do is save all the yeast from the batch in the sterile 1-gallon jar. That's what some of us do, yeah. And keep it in my keezer. Then when I need some, I make a starter and use about a cup of the saved yeast. That way I always have a supply, and when I run low, I just save off another batch. Seems to work well for me. What do you think of my system? Yeah, a lot of us do that. I don't make starters with the yeast that I get from a previous batch of beer. It's already been started. Hello? So I don't, unless you've only got a little bit of it, so you got a small amount of it, then you might want to make a starter. But, You know, if you get like a cup of yeast from your last batch of beer, you don't need a starter. Come on, it's already been started. It's been through 10, 15 days of fermentation. It's ready to go. You don't need a starter for that one as far as I'm concerned. But if you need to take a little bit of it, you could make a starter out of that. Okay? But there's usually enough trub in a batch of homebrew to make 2 other batches. So you can split them off like crazy as you brew. Okay? All right. But within a few, okay, I took just the body of the message. Within a few days, one fermenter is always, okay, so what he's got here, 2 fermenters, exactly the same batch, like recipe, 2 identical fermenters, 2 identical recipes. In fact, I think he split a larger recipe in half. So, I mean, they're really identical. And he's got them sitting right beside each other in the same location in the house. And one of them always ferments warmer, and it's always the same one. I don't know. I've had a phenomenon myself where, you know, the krausen ring around the fermenter that you get. I've had a situation where when I'm washing out my fermenters, one side of the krausen ring on one side of the fermenter comes off really easy, but the other side doesn't. And it's always the same side. It doesn't matter if I turn the fermenter, it doesn't matter what I do, it's always the side closest to that end of the basement. So maybe there's something to do with the magnetic pole of the earth. I don't know. I don't know why that happens. Don't lose any sleep over it if you can help it. That your guess is as good as mine, buddy. I have no idea why one is always a little bit warmer than the other. Try swapping them in the middle of fermentation, if you can do it without jostling them around too much, and see if the other one gets warmer after that, or if the one that's warmer stays that way. That's what I'd do. I'd be vindictive. Yes, I would have to figure that one out for sure. All right. Okay, let's see. We've got a couple more pages left. Okay. I have been fermenting meads and blackberry wines for a while and brewing the odd batch of beer. Occasionally, anyway, I got a Mr. Beer kit as a gift and has a Pilsner in it that I would like to see if I can add fruit and spice to it. If you've been brewing mead and stuff like that, just do the same thing with the beer. Okay? I've never been busy at adding fruit to beers for some darn reason. I'm not sure why. It's something that I have to get myself doing. But if you're used to making meads and stuff and things like, what does he say, meads, blackberry wines and things like that, then, you know, if you're making beer, just do it. Put the fruit in just the way you normally would. Watch your tannins. Some people add the fruit later. Of course, you guys can comment down below on your opinion on that. But, you know, you really can't mess up. Next time I make this, next week when I do a Homebrew Wednesday weekly video, I have a story to tell you that I messed a batch of beer up so bad. I mean, I did 2 things that were very wrong, and the beer turned out fantastic. It didn't hurt the beer, but that's next time. Okay, so I'll tell you about, because we'll be tasting that beer next week. Okay, let's see. I can't get these apart usually. There we go. All right, I have added findings to my Cooper's Blonde, and it's been 3 days, and it's extremely cloudy. What would have done this? Don't know what findings you used. Maybe the beer wasn't finished fermenting yet. I wouldn't worry about clear beer. It's underrated. I mean, it's under clear beer is overrated. Sorry. I don't care about cloudy beer. I drink it. I think it tastes better sometimes when it's got some balls. Okay, some cloudiness to it. People spend a lot of time trying to get their beer to look like this, and believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't waste my time. You're not a commercial brewery. You're a home brewer. If you got friends that come over and don't like the beer that you serve because it's not clear, you tell them this is real beer. This isn't that filtered shit that you get from the factories. That's what you tell them. Okay? Craig, I've been using Fast Ferment for a couple years and have 3 now. Fast Ferment for a couple years and have 3 now? Just wondering if you have tried one. It's a great We're using yeast. Oh, the fast fermenter. Oh, okay. The fast fermenter is a sort of a cone-shaped fermenter. It's on a stand. If you look it up, it's called fast ferment. And it's on a stand, and at the bottom of the cone there's a little thing that catches the trub. So you can use that yeast right in your next batch. Beautiful thing. I'd love one. I would definitely be interested in investing in one of those one day. As a matter of fact, if Fast Ferment wants to send me one, I'd be more than happy to demonstrate it and give everybody my honest opinion on that. I've never used it, but I think it's an excellent system. You can mount it on the wall. It's got a stand you can put it on, and it's cone shaped, so all the trub goes down to the bottom, and then you can turn this little tap and collect it into this little jar. Then you've got your, all that's gone, and then it's a secondary fermenter now because you've gotten rid of the trub. So beautiful system, I think, and I would love to try that. Okay, so we'll see what happens one of these days. Maybe I'll buy one. Hi, Craig. Newish to brewing and doing kit and kilo with okay results, mostly, but rarely getting good head retention. No keg, so bottling my beers in glass, plastic, PET bottles. Any ideas to improve this? Okay, kit and kilo. Don't expect head retention. Okay. There's not enough proteins in the beer to create a decent foam when you're only using a can of it and a bunch of sugar. You need more malt in your beer to get those carbohydrates. Anyway, whatever. I'm not a chemist and I'm not a dietitian, but you need more malt in your beer to get more head retention. So just kit and kilo, you can't. Now, the next question kind of relates to this, so let's get to that. Okay. Thanks, Emil, for your advice. Went to order Malted Extra. This is what we're talking about here. Supplier said it was the same thing as dry or spray malt. Okay, is this correct? No. It's not the same as dry malt extract. It will provide the same amount of carbohydrates or, foam retention to your beer, but it does not ferment. Malted Extra is a non-fermentable protein, okay, or carb, or whatever way you want to look at that. Probably getting it wrong in one of those areas. It will add the same amount of head retention to your beer, but it will not ferment, so it won't add any alcohol. A lot of people, I've read a lot of forums and get this mixed up. It doesn't ferment, so it's not the same. So go back to your guy and tell him to tune into CraigTube. All right? Oh shit! I should have worn my new shirts. I'll get one. Okay. Okay. They are two different things. Yes. Great, thanks for all the info. Just so I'm clear, if I swap spray malt instead of dextrose for flavor, can I put in some malted dextrin and only the spray malt will ferment? Thanks. Yes, you are correct. Swap out your dextrose for your dry malt extract. Put the dry malt extract in instead. And you can add the malted dextrin as well. Or, if you're cheap, like some of us are, and you can't afford the dry malt extract because it's expensive, then just add your dextrose if you need to do that, and then add the malted dextrin as well, and you'll still get some foam. And that kind of addresses the last guy here who was asking about, kit and kilo. Do your kit and kilo if that's what you want to do, but get some malted dextrin and put about 500 grams of that in too, or maybe 300 grams. See what that does for your beer. I got one more question here. And I'm going to go over there and get one of my shirts and show it to you guys. I should have wore it. I completely forgot. But I do have new shirts out. Some people have already bought them. What is the range of room temperatures that must exist in order for reasonable quality brew in most beers? This depends on the yeast. Read the yeast package, and there's your answer. I'm a 20C guy. That's about 70 Fahrenheit. That's too warm for some people. But with the yeast that I'm using right now, which is at US-05, and I've been reusing the same strain over and over and over again. It's almost going to be a year now. I've been using the same yeast package, just reusing it over and over again. I'm okay with 70 Fahrenheit. But I'm going to get guys out there going to hate me for that. That's okay. You know, if they think they have to brew at 65, 62, whatever, let them do it. It's okay. I might laugh at them too. No, I mean, you know, read what the yeast package says. And, you know, the slower the fermentation, the nicer the beer is probably going to be. So if you can keep the temperatures down, then keep the temperatures down. But if you've got a party coming up and you're in a bit of a hurry, you know, if you can put a heat belt on that, crank it up a little bit, as long as you're within the yeast's temperature range that it likes, then I think you're fine. Okay? So let me grab one of these guys over here. There we go. So we got the new shirts. And there is the final product. There we are. That's an extra large. That's the way I like wearing them. But you can get any size you like. You guys see that? I can't see what you see. Yeah, I think you can. I think you can see that pretty good. Right, and of course the Craig's Dungeon series has not come to a screeching halt. It just had to pause for a little while, but it will be back very, very, very soon. So keep those views coming, keep those thumbs ups coming along. Thanks for watching, and the comments as well, please do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And head to tgtshirts.com for a shirt. I would really appreciate it if you did. And of course, 17brewcrew.com is our forum. Anytime you have a question, you just put it in there. Go in there and look around, and there's answers everywhere, even in the section that I have, because now I've gone through all of that, and now I will go back there every couple of days and make sure I answer all of your questions once again in the forum. Okay, so I think we've taken care of most of them here, and I hope to see you there as well. Also, my live broadcast is vonlive.tv/CraigTube every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It doesn't sound like radio. It sounds better than radio. So please tune in if you can. You don't have to sign in, but I'd love to have you there just to listen in while you clean your garage or something like that. We play great tunes, and we have a lot of fun. Okay? That's it. I'm out of here. I'll finish this off for you guys. Piss water. Let's give this a whirl. I'll get my beer carved up and I'll have a little bit of fun tonight. Anyway, guys, be safe. Thanks a lot. Bye.